Alright, welcome back, guys. So, we're gonna continue back where we first started. But first, what about your parents? I need their permission. Wait, where were they, and why were you alone? That's right. The facts of the situation falling into place as he looked down at Naruto, who seemed to deflate slightly. With a bit more crowding, the blonde family explained the situation to Jiraiya, who slowly found himself becoming angry at the family's actions. However, whether he liked it or not, it wasn't his place to try and fix the family. He knew how important the girls were. But still, to just leave the boy out like this, that put a number on Jiraiya. Well, if you want something fixed, you do it yourself. Much of the sage as he reached down to grab the boy's blonde locks. Okay, Naruto, look. Looks like they're lost. I'll just have to make you so amazing your family won't. Look up to you, really, asked the boy, pulling a master scroll from his back. Hi, this is gonna be your first step, replied the man. Alright, my bad for repeating the same one. It's just that we're gonna use a flashback to a recap. Alright. Since that day, Naruto's been training hard under Jiraiya's tutelage, growing closer to the Toad Sage, even as his family moved farther and farther away. His grasp, besides his Naruto couldn't hate the family. He wanted to be loved by them, wanted to be with them. He had come to the unfortunate truth. His family didn't want the same. And so he found a new family in the Toads. As Naruto continued to ponder all of this new as Naruto continued to ponder all of this a small ways in the crowd after figuring was not turning at Mito. Sorry, kind of got lost on the page. But as Naruto continued to ponder his way through all the crowds that was cheering his sisters on from their little battle. As Mito called a spin kick from Naruto, forcing the two into a grappling battle. Her blue hair swayed gently as her pale lavender eyes looked around at the blonde boy, a small red blush touching her cheeks as he did. The blushing face belonged to the eldest daughter of the head of the Kayuka clan, Hinata, who had a rather interesting relation with the blonde boy. She was currently looking at him from across the crowd, unlike the rest of the class. And indeed, many of the adults, Mito and Nori, were not children. Not the children of Hokage that she wanted to become closer to. And the pair were fine in their own way, but Narumi was a bit more like her mother, being a bit brash. Amito was more of the silent one, but neither had the most important element of their parents, namely their hearts. Sisters had been put through training for so long, praised so much, that they had become arrogant, then kind. After all, why work to make sure each person that was met with happiness was have such a multitude, people to praise them, and all of their praise parents love. Sorry. Hopefully you guys like the wallpaper on there. It's going to show the growth of Naruto from what I can see. No, it was Naruto, the forgotten child, that had learned the hardest lesson of how precious a person could be. Growing up without a few, he managed to not die. It was even a single person he had found. Naruto had managed to become one of those people when they were children. As she allowed herself to sink gently into the water. Sorry, it just is a trailer. Came up on my music ad I was listening to. And it seemed interesting. So let me just pause this for a second here. Alright, I paused it just enough. Hinata was at the time sitting in a hot spring, her body sporting a few bruises from her recent training, as she let out a happy little sigh. She allowed the warm water to carelessly flow over her pale skin. She had just finished another day of instruction with her father, and had passed well enough to be allowed to enter the Ninja Academy this coming year. As she allowed herself to sink gently into the water, her unfocused eyes nothing a few of the other females, all older, chattering away happily, her mind shifted to a family boy that occupied her free thoughts ever since she had helped defend her from bullies a few years previously, which thanked her a lot. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Alright, so yeah, she was basically just sinking in the water and thinking of Naruto and her free time, thanks to all that has happened to her after Naruto saved her from the bullies a few years prior. She still remembered him smiling at her as the three other boys ran off, as he had helped her up. She had been so embarrassed that she had hardly been able to speak before an angry voice had called out to the boy, as he was taken away by a red-headed woman talking about him beating up on a few boys, insisting he had to apologize. Horrified, not had to move to speak, but her bodyguard, Cole, had found her. Before she could call out to them, rush her home and away from her boy, her mind shifted slightly as she pulled her legs to her chest, as she remembered that name the woman had called, Naruto. The girl whispered to herself as she probably privately hoped she would soon be seeing him in the academy. A little time later, Hinata rose from the spring, moving over to wrap a towel under her just in time for reassigning crash to echo out through the spring, causing her to jump with a small leap of surprise. Turning, Yuriko saw the sledgehammer of the wall that separated the open bath from the surrounding forest. Had collapsed with a white-haired man along with a blond boy lying face down on the wood. Oh crap! Tadpole, run! Out of the line! Claw dragged, grabbing the blond boy's shirt and flinging him to the sideways. The woman rushed in with cries of perverts. Dry's aim, however, was less than perfect. As a result, Hinata found herself getting bowled over by a blonde projectile. It caused the pair to splash into the spring behind a small rock outcrop. So as Dry was being mauled by the enraged woman, two children found themselves sputtering as they popped out of the spring, shaking the water from their eyes as the blonde muttered, "Act stupid, Errolson. I tell him we should practice tree walking near the spring." Choked out the boy beside him as he heard a small meep. As the noise, I looked up to see a bright red face and Hinata looking back at him, her hands holding her towel in place as she looked over on the boy I've been thinking about. "Hey, aren't you that girl from the park?" Naruto stated. For a smarter voice began to close up on him, causing the boy to look around in a panic. Oh crap, what did I do? Panicked as the women of the spring, having either finished riot or suddenly lost them, moved around to find the second pervert. As they neared something in how to take control, as she stepped forward towards Naruto, who turned just in time to see Hinata's arms reach out to push him under the water. Just as the woman came around the stone outcropping. Damn it, girls. Come on, let's go find him. caught the purple-haired woman as she turned her fellows following along behind her until they were out of sight. As they moved away, Hinata seemed to remember who she just shoved under the water. Letting out a small leap, letting the young girl jerking back as the blonde boy slowly floated up to the surface, causing face down, causing the girl to panic even more. Oh no. Oh no. I killed him. I killed Naruto-kun, thought the girl before she managed to gather herself to notice that the boy had just passed out from the heat of the water. With some effort, Hinata managed to drag the boy unseen to a nearby private bath. Moving to check on him before long, Naruto came back to his consciousness, blinking around, splitting to the blushing Hinata, sitting a small distance away from him. Hey, managed the blonde, causing Hinata to jump slightly over at him. What's the big idea of drowning me? He asked, managing to sit up. Hinata, for her part, was panicking inside, her fingers plugging one another as her mind raced to find another answer. Before Hinata stood up, the guy has sopping clothes. Darn it, I'm soaked. Still better than Arrow Center. Hope he's alive. Good thing they didn't find me. Wait. At this, Naruto turned towards him. Again, the event playing out in his head for a few seconds before he smiled over at her, causing her to blush even brighter if that was possible. Hey, that's what it is. Thank you for helping me. Sorry about that earlier. That's a bio. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. What's your name? Asked the blonde, smiling down at Hinata, who was just managing to find her voice. Hinata Hyuga, menaced the girl as Naruto smiled at her. Now that's a pretty name. And I think Eros-san used that for one of his book titles. I mean, Sunny Place, right? Naruto asked. Nodded slightly. Hi, my mother named me. She replied a little more relaxed. A trace of a smile as Naruto listened to her. Well, my uncle named me, apparently. Anyways, I better go see if Eros-san is alive, but thanks again. Maybe we'll see each other again at the academy. Smiled the blonde. As Hinata looked up at him, smiling slightly herself. Hi, Naruto-kun. She replied as Naruto moved to the door, checking around before flashing her final large smile. Thanks, Hinata-chan. And hey, you're really cute when you smile, caught the boy. As an afterthought, remembering how Jiraiya always ended the converse with a girl with some kind of compliment. Reaction as Naruto dashed away from the spring, he left the passed out Hinata smiling to herself, thinking about the meeting of Naruto again. Flashback end. And meet. They had the first day of class. They had seen one another deciding to become friends. The two found a sense of comfort with each other, both having found their families lacking the support they all children deeply wished for. As Hinata turned back to the spar, she saw Iruka stepping up, causing Naomi and Mito to come to a stop as voices cheered out at the match. Okay, that's enough for today. Now, everyone, remember what we practiced today. And I'll see you tomorrow. Called Iruka as the class nodded before dispersing to head their own ways home. As the group of children moved away, Naruto found himself walking alone beside Hinata, both chatting idly about the lessons as they headed down the street. So, what do you think about the early exams, Hinata? Asked Naruto, looking over to Hinata, who looked down at her bulky cream-colored coat for a moment before returning back to the blonde. I think I'll wait. After all, we are only 8, replied Hinata, as Naruto gave a small shrug before putting his hand behind his head. Yeah, I suppose, replied the boy as Hinata gave him a small, knowing smile. Naruto-kun, you don't have to compete with them, whispered Hinata as Naruto seemed to drop slightly, his bright orange suit even seeming dim as he replied. Yeah, I know, I just want to keep you up, you know. By Naruto as Hinata nodded, okay, but it'll be okay. Smiled the girl as Naruto found himself smiling as well. Yeah, you're right. Besides, I graduated early and I wouldn't get to be with my best friend, caught Naruto, throwing an arm around Hyuga's crossed shoulder. Naruto blushed slightly before smiling in turn. Hi, Naruto-kun, replied the girl as they made their way through the village. Hinata departing as her compound as Naruto headed to the smaller place of the Namakazes. I'm home, called Naruto as he pushed over the door, his voice echoing around the empty house, closing his eyes slightly as he moved into the house, dropping onto the couch with a sigh. I guess Kasan already left, sighed the boy as he looked idly around the room before a small poof of smoke exploded before him, causing him to go tumbling back over to the couch in shock. Yo, Naruto, you here? Hey, where are you? Cried an oddly wet voice as the cloud of smoke disappeared, showing Orange Toad now seated on the small table just in front of the couch. The little grown-up popped his head over the couch, giving the toad a small smirk. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Kiki? Cried Naruto as the toad popped happily up beside Naruto, who despite himself was grinning royally. You're just jealous. Anyway, Jiraiya sent me to give you this. Looks like he'd be on a job for a little longer, but he wanted to give this to you and tell you to keep practicing. Lectured the toad as Naruto gave a wide grin, reaching out for the scroll, only to have the toad pull it away, causing Naruto to give him an annoyed look. Fine, I'll give you snakes. Now give me the scroll, called Naruto, leaping forward, managing to snag the scroll as the toad happily back with the promise of sweets. Soon enough, Naruto was sitting in his room, the walls hung with posters of famous shinobi, while across his forest were scattered small bits of training equipment and open scrolls. His training room was something else. The family seemed ready to forget. Smiling, Naruto unrolled the scroll, looking down at the jutsu and accompanying instructions, smiling at the small notes that developed beside each scribbled in small text, giving his own twist on some of them. Naruto continued to pore over the scroll until a call from below alerted him. Oh, just how long has he been in his room? With he starting out to move downstairs towards the kitchen, arriving just as Kushina passed him, carrying a pile of dishes. Oh, Naruto, help grab the ramen, please, called Kushina, giving the boy a brief smile before heading to the table, where Narumi and Mito were busy telling Minato all about their training. With a shrug, Naruto moved over to the stove, hefting the large pile of ramen. Oh, careful not to spill the holy food. As he was doing this, Kushina was passing out plates as Minato looked over to his daughters finishing the story. Sounds like you two are ready for the exam, smiling at Minato. As both girls nodded happily as Kushina gave a thumbs up. Of course, they are, Dad. They'll be the best Genin ever caught the redhead. The girls beamed up at her, Minato in the meantime smiled around at the girls before looking over to his wife with a proud smile. You know, called Minato. Causing the girls to look over at him. I was going to wait, but you two graduate early. I don't see why we can't go ahead and make it official, smiled the blonde. The two girls looked around as their mother, who gave her husband a happy nod before pulling out a scroll. Just across from her, Minato did the same, both handing them to the girls who tore it to them with wide smiles. No way, I'm clan heir, called Narumi, smiling over at her mother, who nodded. As beside her, Mito grinned all over her father, having read the same message upon her own scroll. Yeah, that means you'll be learning each of our secret techniques and be in charge of guarding them. Statement out before a small crash caused him to turn to Naruto. Dynamite's stunned as a pot of ramen now leaking over the floor, his eyes wide as they looked over at the family. Naruto, called Kushina, moving over to check the boy for burns before leaving back the spilled meal, fronting her all her hard work gone to waste. From the table, Minato also moved to check Kushina, sighing as she saw no burns on him. After I worked especially hard on that for Narumi and Mito. Why do you have to say for yourself? Asked Kushina, standing to look down at her son, who was still forcing looking across at Narumi and Mito, who looked sadly at the not ruined food before glaring over at their older brother. Now to apologize to your sister for me and for ruining the ramen, spoke Kushina, looking down at the boy, who turned his gaze up to her before small tears began to form. And he dropped his head, not looking at her. Not getting a response out of the boy, she reached down to take the boy's hand, leading him up the room. Fine, if you don't want to apologize, you can go to your bed without dinner. While we go to out, scolded Kushina, as she marched the boy upstairs, halting before his room, and looking at him again, her anger subsiding a bit, holding it firm as she opened his room door, not bothering to look inside. Now, Naruto, if you apologize, you can come with us. But I won't put up with you not owning up to your mistakes. Lecture Kushina. As Naruto still did not look up, well, asked the redhead as Naruto said slowly shook, resulting in Shin letting go and turning back down the hall. Fine, then you can stand there until breakfast. I accept an apology. Or accept. They basically, expect. Call Kushina. She moved back downstairs to find Minato working with the girls to clean up the mess before heading out. Meanwhile, inside the room, Naruto was curled up on his bed, slightly crying to himself as he thought about what he had lost. I'm the oldest. I'm supposed to be the clan heir. It's just like Hinata-chan. Her dad threw her out, and now he hates her. Why? Why do they hate me? Cried the boy as he continued to wrestle with the thoughts assaulting him. A few hours later, Naruto finished crying, just sitting on his floor rereading Jiraiya's notes, hugging it gently to himself. As he sought comfort in the words scribbled there, he sat and knocked came on his door. Slowly, Naruto pushed himself up, moving to the door, which he opened, gently to find her main Beatus, standing outside with both arms crossed, giving him an irritated look. Nii-san, you owe us an apology after you wrecked dinner Kasan made. Chiso-tan was all through dinner thinking about you, and ruined it a big night. Looking Mito and beside her Narumi simply nodded in agreement, as Naruto looked between the two with heavy eyes, having lost the energy to even argue with them at this point. His silence, however, only served to infuriate the girls, as Naruto stepped up to glare at her brother. Hey, what are you waiting for? I swear, once we're clan for kicking you out if you don't apologize, called the blonde, as Mito nodded, seeing Naruto's eyes go wider with fear. You can't manage Naruto. Both girls look at him with small smirks. Can't, oh yeah. Creature of the Namikaze clan, I banished Naruto from my clan, ordered Mito as she beside her in return. Hi. Me. From now on, you're not Uzumaki either, called the girl, both not being able to comprehend the result of these seemingly childish remarks. True, they could no more ban the boy than order him to fly. With Naruto, their words were just one more blow to his world. Without a word, Naruto shut his door, getting a few angry calls from his sister before they eventually headed to bed. Not giving the confrontation another thought, leaving Naruto to lay awake in bed, looking up at the wall where Jiraiya's poster hung, thinking of the sage who was his closest family. As a young blonde finally found his way to sleep across the continent, Jiraiya was currently laying, hitting him off the shadow of a dark cadaverous room. His breath slowed to almost non-existence. As he stared out of the shadow, he had become and down on the figures below him. It had taken him months, but he finally managed to track them. A group of Kumo and Iowa Shinobi. There was a source of information leaks in relation to the Hyuga incident, as well as a multitude of others. However, the largest of them all was seen connected with his old teammate Orochimaru and some new organization, but this night was even more important than that, because tonight was where they meet their contact with Konoha. The sage had caught wind of a contract a year ago, but managed to get anything on them until now. So, this is what happened. Danzo, you bastard. I knew you were dirty, but great good of Konoha, my ass, thought Jiraiya, he eyes blazed, looking down at the traitor that was now discussing something with the pair of shinobi before them. No, stay calm, Jiraiya. This has to get back to Konoha. You need evidence, otherwise things turn out like this before. Wait, more. The old cripple doesn't go anywhere without more backup. I shouldn't be surprised. The sage continued to think as he allowed himself to slowly slip down the wall. His movement matched by the gentle sway of the wind and the moving shadows as the light flickered around the meeting as he moved with earshot. His heart almost stopped what he heard. Yes, they were spotted in the rain, the information said. It's solid. Now what about our agreement, spoke a larger man dressed in red and brown uniform, Aiwa and Danzo. As Danzo, monitored for their showing beside him, to step forward with a small parcel that handed to the man. As agreed, the patrols of Suna's caravans, replied Danzo as the man idly pulled his scroll out, scanning it briefly before nodding and pulling his own scroll that passed to the banished man. Everything seems in order. I would hurry. If you have plans for that group. Hanzo is moving to secure his room. I doubt they will all survive. Finish the Iowa Shinobi turning to the Kumo Shinobi before they turn to leave. Rain. Hanzo, what are you playing at, Danzo? And as soon as the patrols, you bastards, signing out our allies, thought the sage as he noticed one of his shinobi beside Donzo stiffen his mask. Turning around, he heard something. What are you? Jiraiya started to think before his eyes went wide as a small bug perched just before him, letting out an almost subsonic buzz. Abrama screamed Jiraiya as his head as the masked man turned to his position, his hand flying towards the cloud of purple and black raced forwards with the same steady buzz. Without waiting, Jiraiya threw himself back out of his shadow, his hand blazing at Donzo turned to his face, darkening as he saw the sage appear. You, caught the cripple, as Jiraiya gave an equal sneer. Me, you traitor, die and then no jutsu, cried Jiraiya. A wall of flame lashed out for him, catching the insects before a burning force through the cripple, only to be stopped as several blasts of water slammed into it, sending steam exploding out over the area. Idiot child, Sarutobi was a fool, and you are no different. I stand for what Konoha needs, called Danzo, as more rude shinobi poured from the racing up to move around their leader. Hi, if that justifies your actions, Sensei was a great man who became a legend when he stopped the Kyuubi and saved the village. You are nothing but a root that has rotted, Quadra, as the steam cleared, showing the white-haired man standing across from the force of shinobi. Danzo glaring at him as he bit back a curse. That pollutant child. He has no idea what is needed for Konan to succeed. Nothing, but if he returns with that information, I hate to lose such a shinobi. But his lose pales to my own for Konoha's future. Still, my forces here aren't enough to finish him. Even so, death is no sure with the torch. No, this requires something more. Danzo considered before looking around his guards and back to Jiraiya. It is a lost Jiraiya. You serve Konoha well, but you are not a threat to that. Cried Danzo as he raised a hand, Jiraiya gritting his teeth as he looked around the Zoom force. Kill him. Cried Danzo before vanishing a swirl of leaf. Wait, no, cried Jiraiya as seeing the man disappear. However, before he could pursue, he was forced to leap back as blasts of flame, stone, and lightning carved themselves into the area around him, and the shinobi present rushing forward towards him to be with blades drawn. Get out of my way, screamed Jiraiya, catching a root's arm before swinging him like a club to his fellow with a sickening crack. As his white hair suddenly bristled, sending points of white needles like hair out, shredding at Kunoichi, who had attempted to attack from behind. Even as the three fell, seven more took their place, rushing the sage as he turned, eyes blurring on the oncoming force. You won't save him from me, not this time, bellowed Jiraiya, as with a blast of smoke an armored toad sprang forth, swinging a fist into the attacker before Jiraiya leapt over the toad's back, using as a spring to deliver a pair of swirling blue orbs into another pair of root, blasting them to stone pillars that fell moments later. The snarl of the white-haired man turned in time to be blasted back as a ball of fire punched to his chest, drawing a cry of pain from his lips as he staggered back before flinging a kunai to his attacker's leg, causing him to stumble forwards. To Jiraiya, waiting, fist that lifted the root out of his own feet to land a groaning on the stone. But before Jiraiya's foot smashed down, his thought was a crack. Come on then, Root. I'll show what the true war is. Jiraiya said a few kunai slammed into them, not even seeming to register as he shot for his toad ally, falling in beside him as they crashed into the remaining root, turning the stone building. Alright. So I'm standing up now. After a few days after the conflict, at the gates of Konoha, their station guards looked out to see the bloodied and bruised from Jiraiya edging forward towards the town. His left eye coated with dried blood as his unimpaired one focused towards at the village, his body lurching one step after the other. Konoha got to warn Hokage, touched his mind blasted as he fought to remain conscious. His vision blurring as he spotted a group of shinobi rushing to him. Spider was going weak at the knees. He collapsed into them. As he was clawed, the head joining towards another pair, calling out to them. As the fusils were swept off their sage's form. Contact the Hokage. Tell him we have Dry in custody. We're transporting him to the high security wing of the hospital. Called the Jonin. As the pair flashed away and then blurred, leaving the rest of the rush to the now bound sage in the village. Meanwhile, in the Namikaze home, Kushina was sitting across from her family friend, Minato Sensei Tsunade Senju, the last remaining member of the founding clan of Konoha. The moment the blonde-headed woman was taking another swig of her sake, her green, open kimono threw off, showing her rather impressive but bust, head in place by a simply gray vest. Kushina frowned at her friend. So now you have to stop doing this to yourself. Oh, Kushina. Stop. Why? My whole team is nothing but traitors. First that snake and now that toad. Rolled between them before her. Her head dropped, a few tears falling from her eyes. That bastard, Kushina. He killed him. He killed my dad, mumbled Susanna as Kushina moved over to comfort the woman. She had been like this ever since a few days ago when Danzo had arrived in the village office looking winded and slightly disheveled. Flashback. Hokage-san, this is urgent, called Danzo as he rushed his way past the secretary into the room, causing Mount to look away from Tsunade. Kushina and the girls were discussing their placement as apprentices now that they were official Genin. Danzo stayed in Minato before the cripple stepped forward, dropping a file into the blonde desk, mentally smirking as he saw the Tsunade person. Good with this, Konoha would stand thought at the man as he focused back upon the Hokage. Minato, Dry as a traitor, started Danzo before Tsunade was grabbing his coat and lifting up by her eyes. Hokage-san, I recently began to suspect that Shinobi in our ranks were responsible for some of our recent information leaks, connected with the Hyuga incident as well as Ultramar's actions. Stated Danzo, Minato quirking an eyebrow at this. Really? That doesn't sound like you, Danzo. Spoke Minato, Tsunade giving a snort. Sounds to me like your kind of game, she added in with only questioning when Minato gave her a small look. My efforts led me to a meeting where I discovered Dry trading secrets with a shinobi from Iowa and Kumo. Continued Danzo, as Minato was not happy about this. Enough. What did you say, you crippled bastard, Brian? For the woman before Minato stood slamming his hands down to the table growing despair. Enough, Tsunade, release him. And Danzo, explain yourself, called Minato as Tsunade gave the old man another glare before dropping him back to the ground as he turned to Minato. Hokage-san. Erich began to say that our shinobi in our ranks was responsible for some of the recent information leaks connected with the Hyuga incident as well as Ultramar's actions. Stated Danzo, Minato quirking an eyebrow at this. Really? That doesn't like you, Danzo. Sorry, I kind of repeated that. I didn't mean to. As you then return here to tell me, as Danzo shook his head, causing an uncle pause. No, I attempted to apprehend the traitor then and there, studied Danzo as Kushina gave him a man with a annoyed look. If that were the case, Danzo, you would be dead. Experienced or not, Jiraiya would have destroyed you, stated Kushina as Danzo turned to her with a mental smile. Maybe, Uzumaki, but this is not a battle in the light. This is one in the shadows, thought the man as he nodded. True, if I were alone, replied Danzo as Minato's eyes narrowed. Do I take it that you were not? Questioned Minato as Danzo turned nodding. No, I was with a contingent of the remains of the root, which still trusted me as a leader. Though I suspect their loyalty has now cost them their lives, replied Danzo, his words causing the adults to look at him slightly confused. Good will never just tell us about his forces. What is he playing at? Wondered Tsunade. Some of her thoughts as rested, Danzo stepped forward, pointing to the phone desk. Before I fought the battle, I managed to get at what he was trading for. Continued Danzo as Minato is confused. Before going to when I read that, I was clear that Jiraiya was indeed a traitor to Konoha for longer than even Orochimaru. Finished as Tsunade stood to move behind Minato, looking down at the file before stiffening. Pulling it out from Minato's hand, she slowly sank to her floor, her eyes wide at what she has written here. Tsunade and Mito had rushed to the woman's side, trying to help her out dry. Minato started summoning Jonin to search for Jiraiya. He killed Dan. That bastard killed Dan, muttered Sonata as Kushina looked sadly down at the crying woman. The file had been a medical file of Sonata's lover during the war. At the same time, she had been too distraught to do more than make it back to the aid station. And the final autopsy had been done by another medic, whose scan has been annihilated the next day. But what recovered files showed that Dan had been killed by a Sage's attack, and that only Sage capable of that was Jiraiya. Upon seeing this, Tsunade had fallen into a rage at the thought that her love's murderer had been playing with her for years, smiling at her, joking with her. Then he dared to even show his face after what he had stole. Tsunade, we don't even know everything we need to, said Kuchana before Tsunade glared at her before snarling. Don't know. All I need to know is that a bastard is a traitor. Caught the blonde as a small thump drew the pair's attention forward to see Naruto standing in the kitchen, his face horrified as what he had heard. No, Iro-san wouldn't, whispered Naruto as Kuchina looked over at her son's pained expression. Tsunade turning bloodshot eyes towards the blonde. Don't you dare defend him, spat Tsunade. Naruto steadied himself slightly before glaring back. No, Iro-san wouldn't do that. He never. Steadied Naruto before Kuchina cut him off. Naruto, be quiet. This isn't a matter of time for this. Tsunade cut her off. No, I want to defend him fine. Demon, how do you know so much, huh? I saw the record. I saw the body, and he's the only person who could use nature chakra. So don't you tell me he didn't kill him. The toad is nothing but a traitor, just like the snake. Shut up, you, stated Naruto. Kuchina stood up, marching over to deliver a slap across Naruto's face, which caused him to fall on the floor. Enough, Naruto. I will not have you yelling at Tsunade like this. You're an Uzumaki, so that means you stand by your feelings. Tsunade needs to help her, and I won't have you attack like this. Until you start acting like a real Uzumaki, you're grounded. Called Kushina, glaring down at Naruto, who dropped his head, tears upon his eyes, about yelling at Naruto. Naruto. Though this was lost, Naruto as a mother, words snapped gently into place before his own thoughts and those of his sisters, forming a horrified reality to the boy. Without a word, Naruto turned and ran from the house, tears streaming in his eyes as Kushina turned to hear the snap of the door. Naruto, she called out before realizing he must have left. I looking down at her palm, Kushina felt a little sick at having her hit her own son that way. The past few days have been horrible to be sure. But she was still an Uzumaki, and Naruto's refusal to help support the family in these times made her sick to think about it. She pulled her own hand closer as she stepped into the kitchen, noticing a small stain on the floor. Brother Raymond had spilled just a few days ago, getting another sickling feeling as she was thinking about her son. True, Naruto wasn't helping the family during this, but he was right, even if she admitted that something was wrong with this. Tsunade needed them. For now, until Jiraiya was found, all they could do was stand by the family. However, before she could even consider the feeling, more of a flashlight appeared, causing her to see Minato looking at the back of her. Saying time Naruto had rushed out of the training fields, his face full of tears as he dropped his knees, pounding away at the glass. Sorry guys, I read for so long. And now he had found out that the traitor was supposed to be Jiraiya. It couldn't be. It couldn't, not Iro-san. Not one of the few people that loved him. It couldn't be. As his nail, there was a feeling of fury and emotion he didn't notice. The two girls chattering idly into the training ground, spying on him. What are you doing here? Called Naomi, seeing her brother kneeling near the open field. So only then just noticed them as she moved towards the boy. True, the pair could be arrogant. Okay, very arrogant in most cases. But they were not cruel. Indeed, most of the attractions they were not cruel. Indeed, most of their actions was those of children ignorant consequences. And somebody that was both were very distant from shared their home and meals with the boy. And little else, still the sight of him in pain seemed to stir something in him as they moved towards Naruto's bloodshot eyes. Why didn't you tell me it was Iro-san and growled Naruto? As both sisters stopped their mouths for a moment for realizing what he was talking about. Oh, what does it matter? He's a traitor now. And Bata needs our help. Asked Norma as she decided Mito is more than acquaintances the man being with. Yeah, it doesn't matter who it was. Besides, it's shinobi business, continued Mito as Naruto's head dropped. He's not a traitor, Mr. Naruto, as the two looked down at him. What was that? Called Mito, glaring down at Naruto, who pushed himself up. Say he isn't a traitor, called Naruto. But the pair who looked mentally shocked before against Blair. Yes, he is, idiot. We were there. You don't know nothing, Cardinal. It's me to stop. You don't know anything, Naruto. So just shut up and go back to whatever you was doing. Ba Chinese our help, and I haven't seen you do anything and just leave before you mess things up again. Continue Mizo, thinking back to their graduating fire and the boy's actions. Did not even consider her own of the fact that she and Naruto was too busy to be there for Tsunade themselves. For a moment, Naruto stood there looking between the two before he snapped, sank back into the stands, neither recognized. I won't let you insult Ero-san, Sensei. Mother Naruto, having reached the end of his emotions and wishing only for it to stop. Across from him, both sisters looked at him for a moment who were made to scoff. Drop it, Naruto. You don't stand a chance. I'm not going to pick on someone who's weak. Just drop it. Nurse stopped and called me to ask. Narumi shot her in a glare. What, he wants to fight? Fine, I won't beat him up too bad. He wants to keep arguing, fine. He wants to fight, I'll give him one. Maybe then I'll knock some sense into him. Called the blonde girl as Mila at his side, stepping back to clear the two's path. If he wants to be a Baki and protector of his family, then this is what he gets. Called her as she smiled over at Naruto, who had sunk into his stance, glaring at his sister. Fine, but this is stupid. You're a genius now, so stop acting like a kid. Called Mito as Narumi's smart. However, she turned to smirk her sister. Naruto had moved, blasting forward them. She slammed a fist into the smiling girl's chest before taking the wind out of her. She stumbled back. Naruto pushed her, racing up to hit her again, only to find a leg swinging out to crouch him in the chest, flinging him back across the ground. You, called Narumi, gripping her eyes flashed crimson as she raced towards Mito to grab hold of her. The red's eyes blazing crimson as well. She scowled at the bear. You're not, Narumi, stop it. He's not worth it. Just look at him, called Mito as she held the struggling Narumi to the glare first, after before turning to see Naruto curled into a ball, hitting his chest in pain. Seeing that Narumi is let out her sigh of eyes, when the usual blush, she reacts. Fine, but he deserved it. The blonde turning to march out the area. As Mito looked over the crumpled form of Naruto, giving him a small frown. Be happy. Naruto had been broken up for some nights for days, and then you pulled this stunt. What is the matter with you? Muttered Mito before she turned to follow Naruto to make sure. Naruto didn't much make his way back home. Across the village, Jiraiya was blinking away in his bed, noticing a aches of pain in his body. And he looked around to see the room, at least spotting a few on guard. I made it. Thank me. He started to think before he noticed the seals on his wrist and the body tuning him to the bed, with his eyes going wide as he bowed him. The bottom fell out his stomach. Oh no, Danzo, he beat me back. Wait, why? Stated the man before the door in front of him opened, and three Ambu entered, seeing him awake, moving to transfer away. Soon enough, Jiraiya found himself before standing inside the council room, facing Minato, Kushina, Danzo, Tsunade, as well as Sensei's old teammates, all who were watching him closely. Tsunade, in particular, looking like she wished to tear him apart right then and there. As he was positioned to seal it, it still lit up on the ground, forcing him to his knees as he felt his chakra fading. Even still, he managed to send a death glare at Danzo that made the two Ambu on either side step to him, nervously back away from him. Jiraiya, called Minato, causing the sage to look around at him. You are under suspicion of being a traitor to Konoha and the murderer of Shinobi of the village. Coming out, Jiraiya felt his heart sink. So that's his game. If I'm the traitor, then he gets off scot-free. Without your eyes, he glared over towards Danzo. Let me guess, this is based on the word of a crippled bastard. Growled Jiraiya as Danzo simply took the blanket back at him. From beside, Minato had snarled, drew dry eyes to see Tsunade's hurl of folder, and the blinding hiding his chest to follow past his knees, the contents spilling out of him. You bastard, it's based off of this, snarled Tsunade. Jiraiya looked confused. For a moment there, his heart thought at what he saw, the report of Dan's death, the man he had killed all those years ago. Flashback. You bastard, how do you do that to Tsunade? Roared Jiraiya as he slammed a fist into a tree, nearly missing the nimble form of Dan, who leapt aside, his face filling into a blank expression. That Senju woman is a fool. We have already lost our brother. I am sure to secure in the air and symbols of the good of Konoha. Her feelings are irrelevant, spoke Dan, as he whipped out a kunai only to have Jiraiya smash him back into a nearby tree. Fuck you. Who ordered this? cried to say that he cocked back his fist, holding the mask against the tree. You're wasting your time. Samples are already secure, and your word alone will only be looked as jealous lover. My mission cannot be stopped, smirked the man as Jiraiya's head bowed. Maybe not, I promise you. I'll hunt down your master and you will never lay a hand on Tsunades again. Replied Jiraiya before he drove his fist into the man's chest, sending his rocket out to destroy the man's organ to point. Even Tsunade could not recover the man, but reinforced could arrive. He fled, keeping the horrible truth a secret, as he learned for this one responsible for playing with the woman's life. So that's how it is. I want you to win so easily, bastard. No, sorry about that. Looking up, Jiraiya saw the hate and betrayal written across Tsunade's face, and knew that there was nothing he could say. Danzo had set his pieces in place just for an occurrence, holding this ace in the hole in case Jiraiya ever got too close. So that's how it is. But I won't let you win so easily, you bastard. It may take a turn, it may take a lifetime, but I'll get you back for this, I swear. Thoughts Tsunade. Jiraiya for turning his eyes up, look at Tsunade, his mind slowly dripping from her as he took a deep breath. Sorry, Tsunade, but until I can stop him, I'm going to need to play the villain. He looked back, turned to a board expression. And me killing him is important. Why? Asked Jiraiya in infant tone that caught even Danzo off guard. 6 seconds later, Tsunade was over the table, her fist smashing to Jiraiya's face with the crack as blood poured from the man's nose. And she was pulled back, Minato ordering Jiraiya to place in the holding as he turned to try and get a hold of his sensei. Jiraiya, giving the last angry smirk at Danzo before he disappeared out the door, idly. Reaching his tongue up to lick at the blood now pouring from his broken nose. Damn it, let me go, Minato. Roared Minato before Kushina swept up. Since this is hard for all of us, but your actions are only making things worse. He asked. As Tsunade glared at him, he killed enough Yorikunishin, and we still don't know if he killed anyone. Called Minato as Tsunade sneered. He said nothing. He got angry enough to attack him. Nothing, called Kushina. She froze, seeing Minato did likely crash into the hill. No, Ambu. Get dry now, yelled Minato as he rushed out to see the man's guards now unconscious, grabbed foot marked into one of the Ambu's armor. Now, what happened? Called one of the elders, looking at Minato, bit back a curse. But he used his blood to summon a toad back. It told locked down the village he called as the shinobi scattered. As the village erupted into activity, Jiraiya found himself laying on the hilltop of the Mount Mayaboku in the land of toads, dragging himself to a nearby stream. His body aching as a purple and green toad, both rather old, dressed in small cloaks, were over to his side. Jiraiya boy, are you alright? Called May, as she sent skidding to a halt beside the man as he pulled his face from the stream, spitting back a mixture of blood and toad sweat. I'm okay, Ma. Thanks. It's a good thanks. Tsunade still has such a temper, smirked Jiraiya, knowing that without it, his blood he used to draw the seal in his mouth wouldn't have even been possible. As he leaned up, Pa hopped to his side like a weapon boy. As I told Jiraiya leaped back, letting out. So he told them all of it. From the battle, he escaped the toads, listening gravely rather imposing. So now I'm a traitor for Konoha. Wouldn't Heavy be proud? Seeing Jiraiya as he pulled out a blank scroll from his pouch. What about the boy, Jiraiya? I'm gonna ride later. We won't be able to get back to Konoha until I figure out a way to take down that stupid cripple. At least Minato didn't seem to taking him by fact. Yeah, I would just have visited the intention confirmed. Still, my chances of going back are slim. So I might as well give it the kid straight. Mother as he went back to writing. Konoha may have been his home for years, but since the war home had been this world, the only visits being brief as he drops a report checking in on his teammate. Still, there was someone to say goodbye to before he set off on his journey. So you're the tadpole, smiled Ma. No, back in Konoha, Nara was laying on his bed, silently unsealing events of the last few days. Feeling like they were crushing him as he replied them over and over. His parents, his sister Jiraiya, the fights. Everything just felt like too much for him. Then a small poof of smoke caused him to turn around and see a purpley elder toad looking at him. So you're the tadpole. So Mama, she blinked up to the unflurried toad. Who are you now? Asked Naruto for a moment before relating with his map. What is Ear okay? Is he hurt? Where is he? Said Naruto on the toad, reaching over to pop him on the head, causing him to drop back at the bed. Hold it there, Tibble. I'll tell you, Dry Boy is fine. He's just going to be away for a while, so he asked me to bring you this, replied Ma. Blowing a scroll, it was a small note from Dry, bidding him farewell, explaining he wouldn't be able to see him for a while, but now keep working. Wait, where's even? When can I see him? Asked Naruto as the toad gave you a small frown. Sorry, Tibble, I can't tell you. Things are a little confusing right now. Anyway, I have to go. Replied the toad, turning to leave. In a moment, into the mind flashed over to the events of the past few days. The thoughts of Naruto seeing Dry again once. The only people only cared for him by more than he could bear. So right as Ma was about to leave, she felt a small thump as something impacted her before vanishing in a puff of smoke. Preparing before Jiraiya and Paul, who froze as a small boy attached to her. Oh God, man, that's a really good move he pulled there. Alright, get back to the story. Naruto, what are you doing here? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto smiled up at him. Came to see you. You can't leave. I know you're a traitor. You're not a traitor. Please don't leave, called the boy. As Jiraiya smiled gently, pulling the boy close to him before ruffling his hair. Thanks, kid. It means a lot to hear that. But you can't say. You have a home and a family, replied Jiraiya as Naruto shook his head, holding Jiraiya all together. No, you're my family. They don't even want me to keep calling you a traitor. Please don't leave me, continued Naruto as Jiraiya looked pleading over to Ma and Pa to help him out. Simply shrugged at him. Look, Naruto, I know it's tough. They're your family. They love you. Why would you want to leave? Asked the man as Naruto squinted for a time. After a moment, Jiraiya thought the boy had fallen unconscious before he slowly shook his head, looking at the sage. His eyes was a broken man. No, they don't. They're not my family. They threw me away. You're my family, choked out Naruto as he slowly started speaking in a whisper, telling the sage and the toes everything, even as his body shook with all small sobs. As they listened, Jiraiya's face turned from disappointment to anger at the family's actions. Beside him, Toes did much the same. Wait, Red Eyes, you're sure? Interrupted Jiraiya as Naruto recalled the fight with his sisters, nodding and Jiraiya to let out a heavy sigh. Those two haven't even gotten control of their emotions yet. While they figured that out, it would be years before they stopped their personal training, which means them being little self-absorbed brats. Like to continue, he's already receiving next to nothing, and from what it sounds like, supporting me, he's going to. Sorry, I thought someone was right there, but no, they're not my family. They threw me away. You my family. Oh, sorry. So nothing, and from what it sounds like, supporting me, he's going to get even less. This way, he'll get killed in his first real mission, just like Naruki. Well, I suppose I can add him to being a traitor. Not that things can get much worse. This point is between making his family sad or his well-being. Thought to say this. He listened to Naruto finish his story. So that's everything in kid. Nice rise, the blonde nodding Sally as he uttered like that. He was like standing up. Okay, then Naruto, if you come with me, you better be ready for what it means. We may never be able to call Konoha home again. We have to stop this real traitor before we can't even dream of going back. Are you okay with that? Asked the sage. Naruto paused for moving. I hope you're. Okay, guys, just like make sure he's strong enough. Smile, dry eyes, nodded up. Alright, sorry guys, this is the end of the chapter 1. So I'll be posting chapter 2 maybe next week, or if that's possible, I might post it tomorrow. Sorry for the wait, guys. It's just schoolwork I have tons of it, so I'm trying to get as much of it done. I'm using my free time now to try to make a script for videos, or just to get some gameplay in. I'll be posting some gameplay on this channel as well. You'll most likely be seeing Roblox Shindo, how to build a boat, best boat ideas, or maybe some Arc PvP. Well, see you guys. It's going to be a really wonderful time. Remember to subscribe to my What If channel, to see the updates and progress of us, and may you all have a wonderful and blessed day.